Welcome into South Philly Sauce, an Audacy original brought to you by 94 WIP and Jack Daniels. Ashley Sullivan, Al Morgani here with you, and Ryan Poehling at the Flyers practice facility. The Flyers wrapping up 3 days straight of practice, coming back from that 4 Nations break. How unique was this break, and how good was it for you guys?
Yeah, it was nice. I think always the season's so long and demanding that it's nice to just have a week where you can just get away from the game, and not even just physically. I think mentally is a big part of it. So, like personally, I went home, hung out with friends, and I think just coming back, you're like excited to play the game and excited to see the boys. So, I think for me, it was great.
What's it like being a player watching, like being a fan?
Yeah,
it's got to be a little strange.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm not like I don't watch hockey a lot, but I was glued to my TV I got so many texts from just like friends, family that were just like, honestly, like they're like these games are almost better than playoff games for just the non hockey watchers. So I think it was cool to see that, and I actually understood what they were saying because I felt the same way. I was glued in for it, so it was a ton of fun, and I think it was a great day for hockey.
It was a great day for hockey.
Yeah,
I mean it was terrific. Now you're a veteran of U.S. hockey, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
Coming in from Minnesota. I got to ask you, got a lot of guys from Minnesota in that room.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, no, it's great. It's a ton of fun. Obviously, Bobby, Casey, Seals, Eric used to live there, so yeah, it's fun. And the good part about it is like during the off season, you get to hang out with those guys and see them when you want to, which is nice.
Put you guys all together, and I'll consider the Swede Minnesota the same. Would you put a pretty good team if you go out there and practice all the Minnesota guys?
Yeah, we might. Honestly, it'd be cool to see what I probably won't make the team, to be honest, but it would be fun to see what they could come up with.
And what was it like? You said watching as a fan. I think it was awesome for hockey, like especially being from Florida. The amount of friends that don't normally watch hockey were like dialed in.
Yeah,
which was so cool.
It's crazy
to watch TK and Sam Ryan and Morrison, and then play so well. What was that like?
It was so cool. I was so happy for all of them, and it's such a good opportunity. And I think they all made the most of it. Obviously, like you never knew how the tournament was going to go, just because. It's not. I mean, they're only playing for pride, right? And it's not like a IHF tournament or whatnot. So I think the hockey world killed it. And you have to give credit to all those guys that played in it. I mean, they played for pride, and it was a ton of fun for me and obviously the normal fan to watch.
Yeah, it was. Al and I were saying, I think it's going to be interesting to see coming back now, like crunch time, when you come from that high to go back to normal regular season hockey. Like, I'm curious how that works out this next week.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, obviously I think it'll take a little bit, but at the end of the day, too, it's almost crunch time for us where every game matters. So I think they'll have to realize that too. So yeah, I'm curious to see how it goes.
So I'm watching the Tkachuk brothers and Hughes brothers when they're in the league. You played with your twin brothers, older in high school.
Yeah.
A line.
Yeah.
How cool.
It was amazing. I played with them in college too, actually. So high school was great. I think for me, I'm here because of them in a sense where they were 2.5 years older than me. So growing up, I always looked up to them and I always wanted to like fit in. So I think that's kind of where I got my work ethic from, was just like learning how to keep up with them. And so I always looked up to them on and off the ice. And then going into college was just so much fun. I was 17 years old when I went to college.
St. Cloud?
Yeah, correct. So I think me growing up into my own body, I think was a big thing, having them there to kind of help me and guide me. So it's one of those things that I was so blessed with.
But I'm reading, I go to Wikipedia and it says, you skipped his senior year. I'm like, how do you skip your senior year?
It's terrible. Yeah, it was the worst summer of my life. The coach, St. Cloud, Bob Motzko, I love Bobby. He was a great coach, but my junior year of high school, I had no idea. And he came up to me and he's like, hey, we're thinking of bringing you in next year. And I was like, I mean, I'm in, but I don't know how it's going to work. So I actually had to take some tests at high school, and then I had to take a few college courses to count as high school credits. And one of the classes I remember was like a films class. I wasn't doing that great, and my dad actually had to help me out on it. So he was writing papers for me and stuff because I wasn't doing well. So yeah, I got to give credit. Yeah, I got to give credit to my dad too for helping me pass that. Year.
That's pretty cool.
But we got it done. Yeah.
And then got to play with your brothers.
For sure. Yeah, I got to play with them for 3 years. So and then obviously 2 in high school, which was a ton of fun.
Yeah.
I remember when you signed the deal here, you told me that they were the first ones that you called.
So
you're still really close to them.
Yeah, I am. I mean, and honestly, so I signed with Montreal early, and I was going to stay in college, and that was the hardest decision because I didn't know how long they wanted to play, or like even in pro, you don't know if you can just play with your brothers. It's not really common. So it was a big thing, but honestly, that's where like they've always looked out for me, not just themselves. And I think that was a big thing. Like they were happy for me, excited for me, even if it didn't benefit them, which I thought was really cool.
And then you go to, everybody knows the story, the hat trick.
Yeah.
I mean, does that still seem unreal?
Yeah, I should have retired after that. It was crazy. It's I don't even I still can't fathom it. I mean, it was I don't know. Just being in the NHL is great, and I think at the time it happened, I was really I don't know. I didn't take it. I guess I took it for granted in a sense of like it happened so quickly that like I think now looking back on it, I have more appreciation for it. And I think a big thing too is like I did a great that game, and then after that was tough for me. Like when the AHL had to learn how to play the right way, stuff like that. So I think it was almost a reminder, like, hey, you are good enough to make it in this league. Just keep pushing. So I think that's kind of how I've taken it now, which has kind of helped me a lot through making it to the NHL.
Yeah, I imagine that consistency, because I feel like Tort says that all the time to us about so many guys.
For sure.
Cam York's a great example of that. Like you have that flash, you're doing it every single game.
Yes.
Do you talk to them about that, with the younger guys?
100%. I think that's something that you just have to learn through time. I mean, and as a young guy coming to the league, I feel like a lot of us, you're at the top of your, whether you're playing college.
You're supposed to be the best one.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, and this league is so important. And like you said, there's 82 games. Like you have to be consistent, and that's the hardest part about it. So I think with time, and I mean, in the AHL, I learned that, and then bringing it to the NHL, I think is big too.
You've been to some pretty good cities, Montreal, and Pittsburgh, and how do you like being from Minnesota? I can tell with the camouflage, kind of a country
yeah.
How do you like Philly?
I love it. Philly's my favorite. I think they're all different in the sense where Montreal, it's there for 4 years, and I liked it. Like the city was really fun, but for me specifically, like I like suburbs. I don't like big cities. So I think Philly's perfect. Like where I live in an old city, and I just love it. You can walk around, and it's great food. The bars are nice too, and the nice thing too is like I've always thought the guys make the city, and we have such a great team where when we go out and we like go dinner or have drinks somewhere, it's like there's 8 or 9 of us that are going out, and I think that makes it so much fun.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a big part of why I love Philadelphia too.
Yeah, it's the tight-knit group, and I feel like it's so overused in sports in general. It's like, oh, like we got a tight room, like we're family. But I was, even just being here 2 years, like you can tell how much you guys.
I agree with that. Yeah, it is like a cliche, and I think that's some people get carried away with that, but like you said, it's actually a thing here, and I really enjoy it. That's something that gravitates you to like want to be a Flyer and play here. I think.
Why do you think it is?
I don't know. I think it always starts at the top. I think Danny and Jonesy do a great job of just leading by example. I mean, like you can have people say it, but actually doing things, whether it's like we're on the road and they're doing events to make sure everyone's together and they're showing up, and so I think it starts at the top, and that just slowly leaks down to the bottom. I mean, even with Coach, he loves when we get together and do things, so I think that's the biggest thing. And then ultimately, too, it comes up to the guys. And we have such a great leadership group with Coots, Lotz, all those older guys. I think they do a great job of like making the younger guys feel at home. And I mean, it's really easy. I mean, last year's my first year, and I think I felt like 2-3 weeks in, I could just be myself. That's not really normal. And I think that's something that helps benefit everyone, like on and off the ice,
So it's not hockey, but Vikings, Twins, and other really.
Or Vikings.
I'm happy for your Eagles.
You saw what happened here. How cool was that?
So cool.
Was it?
Yeah, it's amazing. I told Ash I'm a huge Vikings fan, but
I felt bad for him.
I'm telling you, it's a hard team to root for. That's a funny thing. I feel like Eagles fans actually. Like they don't like everyone, but I don't think they don't mind Vikings fans because you guys always kill us. Yeah, that's what I mean. So it's like, yeah, I know exactly. It's heartbreaking.
But to see what happens when you win here,
it's amazing. Yeah, it's so cool. I think it honestly it made me excited to that's where we're trying to get to, right? And it's just like it's so cool how passionate fans are and how much they literally bleed green, and you see it not just like when you're out and about, like it's not even just after winning, it's every game, Like I remember my first year here last year, we went to Vikings Eagles game actually, and the fans it's like week 3 and they're just the party's there, and I'm just like this is amazing. They really like the tailgating before and stuff, it's amazing. So it's really cool for them. I'm happy for the city.
And so now when you look at technically playing in this league, I watched the Four Nations, and one face-off was a huge difference in the game to see how much is it mental at this point when they say you learn a position to play. I noticed when a face-off to get so low.
Yeah.
How long it takes and how many tricks you have to learn there.
Yeah, I think it definitely that's something that comes with time. It is a skill, but at the end of the day too, like coming as a young guy, like you're 19, 20 years old, facing off guys that are 30 plus, and they're just strong. they've been through it and they can cheat a little more. I think they've earned that. So again, that's something that you kind of learn. I mean, at the start of the year, as you can tell, I've just slowly increased my face-off percentage, and that's also intellect too, like learning what guys do and getting a feel for that. So I think a coach always says it's like the only time in hockey where it's a pause thing and you can just do your job. So I think learning that too is a big thing.
We were just talking to Rasmus Ristolainen after practice.
Very exciting.
He's thrilling man. He loves doing interviews.
I believe it.
And with 22 games left, we were talking about what's the goal, and he's like, "Oh, playoffs." And he's like, "All right, what do you have to do differently? Win." Like, all right, pretty simple. Yeah, it's just that easy. But are you guys still talking about the possibility of playoffs?
For sure. I think it's always belief. I mean, you don't want to, obviously there's been trades and whatnot that have happened and then also rumors, but at the end of the day, you've got to believe in yourself and your team. And it's not just like, even what happened last year, it's like you're trying to build towards something. So it's not like you want to pack it in and like you got to have pride. I mean, like we just talked about with USA Canada, it's like those guys are only playing for pride. Sometimes that's all you got. And for us, I think that's a big thing is that's how you build that culture. It's just having that pride of just like, you know what, even if we're not going to make the playoffs, let's try, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing. And it starts at the top, and like I said, then those younger guys get that feeling of like, hey, this is how you're supposed to do it. So like when it eventually does come where we're one of those top teams or we're up there, we're ready.
So guys playing for Torts. I mean, he's an acquired taste in some cases.
Yeah.
But a lot of players, after as they get more mature, it was really good for me.
I agree with that. I think for me, it was great, and it still is. I think even if I had him 2-3 years prior when I was a little bit younger, I think I would have loved it just as much. I mean, it's so important for you to learn how to play because it's like, yeah, he can maybe you don't like some things that he does or says, but at the end of the day, he's being honest and he has his best interests for you. And I think that's a big thing, like being brutally honest and learning like this is how you have to stay in the league. I mean, not all guys can just go out there and score 30, 40 goals. You know what I mean? So for my game in particular, I think he's helped me.
You say staying in the league. He does seem so focused on consistency
Mhm.
more than any other coach. And I'm
For
sure
sure.
you watch guys like Michkov, you see the skill. I imagine because we see it, and we're like, oh, something's going to happen here. He's going to get a talking to, or he might get scratched. Like, do you guys see that happening?
For sure, and that's like every young guy, right? And
You know what's going to happen?
yeah. And Mike's so skilled, like you said, and he's so great.
Mike
for
is
us.
so skilled.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. That's all I call him. It's funny, but yeah, he's crazy skilled, and that's another example of a young guy that's coaches trying to teach him what he needs to do in order to not only stay in the league because he's a great player, I think excel in this league, which I think he has the ability to do. So I think it's great for them, and yeah, you've seen him go butt heads a couple of times, but I think it's only in both their best interests.
If I was a player, I'd want to score Michigan before he does.
Oh God, I've never tried that. I never will. It's amazing that one that he had against who was that?
Washington.
Oh God, I thought that was going to go in.
And I would like a ISO camera on Torts if it does.
Oh gosh, yeah, you need that instantly. The
Great.
camera guy probably will right away.
Oh yeah.
Hand in.
Someone got to tell.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
100%.
All right. So, all right. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah,
It's been just
Ryan, thank you so
terrific.
much.
Yeah, thank you guys
You
for
take the
having me.
time.
Anytime, I appreciate it.
And that was South Philly Sauce, an Audacy original brought to you by 94 WIP and Jack Daniels. We'll see you guys next week.